China built one of Africa's most advanced elevated railways in Kenya in just 3 years. The 480-kilometer standard gauge railway now connects Mombasa to Nairobi with modern trains, high viaducts, and faster freight movement. It replaced a slow colonial-era system and reshaped how goods move across East Africa. Kenya faced a simple but critical question: how do you grow an economy if your transport backbone belongs to the 19th century? By the early 2000s, road transport dominated freight movement between Mombasa and Nairobi. Trucks often took 10 to 15 hours to make the journey, depending on traffic and weather. Congestion increased fuel consumption and damaged highways under heavy loads. Rail, which should have been the cheaper and more efficient option, carried only a fraction of cargo due to outdated infrastructure. Modernizing that link was no small ambition. The proposal was to build a completely new railway, not upgrade the old one. This meant switching from meter gauge to standard gauge, the global rail standard of 1,435 millimeters. Standard gauge allows higher speeds, heavier loads, and smoother integration with modern rolling stock technology. This was not a repair job. It was a reset. In 2014, Kenya signed agreements that would reshape its infrastructure landscape. Construction began on what became known as the Standard Gauge Railway, or SGR. The first phase would connect Mombasa to Nairobi across roughly 472 to 480 kilometers. The estimated cost reached between 3.6 and 3.8 billion US dollars, making it one of the largest infrastructure investments in Kenya's history. Most of the financing came from China Exim Bank, which covered around 85 to 90% of the cost through loans. The Kenyan government funded the remaining portion. The construction contract went to China Road and Bridge Corporation, a major state-owned engineering company with global experience in large transport projects. The deal was not purely commercial. It aligned with China's broader Belt and Road Initiative, a strategy aimed at expanding trade corridors and infrastructure partnerships across Asia, Africa, and beyond. Why would China commit billions of dollars to a railway thousands of kilometers away? Part of the answer lies in long-term strategy. Infrastructure projects generate decades of loan repayments. They also open doors for exporting machinery, steel, signaling systems, and technical standards. For Kenya, the railway promised faster movement of goods and people. For China, it offered economic footholds and expanded influence in one of Africa's fastest-growing regions. Construction moved quickly. By May 2017, the Mombasa-Nairobi line officially began operations, less than 3 years after breaking ground. That speed surprised many observers. Large rail projects elsewhere often stretch over 5 or 6 years due to land acquisition, terrain challenges, and coordination delays. But what exactly made this railway different from the colonial line it replaced? First, it was built to modern engineering standards. Passenger trains were designed to operate at speeds up to 120 kilometers per hour, while freight trains could run at around 80 kilometers per hour. That alone cut passenger travel time between Mombasa and Nairobi to roughly 4 to 5 hours, compared to much longer road journeys. Second, a significant portion of the railway was elevated or built on embankments and bridges. Over 40% of the route includes viaducts, bridges, or raised structures. This design allowed trains to cross flood-prone areas and wildlife corridors without constant interruptions. One of the most notable sections runs through Tsavo National Park. Instead of carving through wildlife habitats at ground level, engineers built elevated sections and dedicated underpasses to allow animal migration. The line includes dozens of bridges and overpasses designed specifically to minimize ecological disruption. The engineering scale was massive. Thousands of concrete pillars were installed, spaced roughly 35 meters apart in some sections. Pre-stressed concrete girders weighing dozens of tons each were manufactured and placed with precision. Rail tracks were welded into continuous lines to reduce vibration and maintenance needs. It was not just steel and concrete. The railway introduced centralized traffic control systems, modern signaling, and Chinese-built locomotives equipped with digital monitoring technology. Dispatch operations could coordinate train movement in real time, something the old system never achieved at scale. This was not simply Kenya getting a faster train, it was Kenya adopting a fully modern rail system. Yet the project also sparked debate. Critics questioned whether the projected freight volumes would be enough to cover loan repayments comfortably. Supporters argued that infrastructure should be measured over decades, not just early years of operation. They saw the SGR as a foundation for long-term regional integration. At its core, the railway represented a shift in ambition. Instead of patching up inherited infrastructure, Kenya chose to build something aligned with global standards. Instead of incremental upgrades, it pursued a large-scale leap. And the speed of execution signaled something else. Large infrastructure in Africa could be delivered quickly when financing, engineering, and political will aligned. Whether the project ultimately proves transformative or financially burdensome remains a subject of ongoing analysis. But one fact is clear. In under 3 years, a modern standard gauge railway replaced a colonial relic and redefined Kenya's main transport corridor. That transformation alone marks a turning point in East Africa's infrastructure story. When the first passenger train rolled out of Mombasa in May 2017, it was more than a ribbon-cutting moment. It marked the beginning of a new transport system that promised to change how goods and people moved across Kenya. The travel time between Mombasa and Nairobi dropped to roughly 4 to 5 hours by rail, compared to long and unpredictable road journeys. For many Kenyans, it was the first experience of modern inner-city rail travel at that scale. Freight movement was an even bigger focus. The port of Mombasa handles millions of tons of cargo each year, much of it destined for inland Kenya and neighboring countries. With the standard gauge railway operational, containers could move directly from the port to inland depots by train instead of relying entirely on trucks. In theory, this reduced congestion on highways and lowered transport costs over time. For businesses, logistics efficiency matters more than symbolism. Faster cargo turnover means lower storage costs and quicker delivery cycles. The railway was designed to carry heavy freight loads at consistent speeds, offering a more stable option for long-distance transport. Over time, freight volumes increased as policies encouraged cargo owners to shift from road to rail. Still, profitability has been a point of debate. In its early years, the railway faced questions about revenue versus debt obligations. Large infrastructure projects often take time before reaching full operational capacity. Supporters argue that the SGR should be judged over decades, not in its first few years. Critics point to loan repayments and ask whether freight volumes will consistently meet expectations. The railway did not stop in Nairobi. In 2019, Phase 2A extended the line from Nairobi to Naivasha, adding another section designed to push the corridor further inland. Plans once envisioned linking the railway to Uganda and beyond, creating a continuous standard gauge network across East Africa. Those extensions have faced delays, leaving the long-term regional vision incomplete for now. Even without full regional integration, the SGR reshaped Kenya's transport map. The economic impact extends beyond freight numbers. Along the route, new towns and industrial zones have emerged near railway stations and depots. Inland container depots allow cargo to be cleared closer to its destination, reducing pressure on Mombasa's port facilities. This redistribution of activity creates new local opportunities. There is also a symbolic dimension. Large-scale infrastructure projects signal ambition. Elevated tracks crossing open plains, long viaducts stretching across valleys, and modern stations rising near urban centers change how a country sees itself. Infrastructure becomes part of national identity. But no mega project exists without controversy. Debt sustainability became one of the most discussed topics surrounding the railway. Because most of the financing came from loans, Kenya committed to long-term repayment schedules. Political debates intensified around the terms, interest rates, and overall national debt levels. Some critics framed the railway as a risk to fiscal stability. Supporters countered that infrastructure financed through loans is common worldwide. Roads, ports, and railways often require borrowing because their benefits unfold over long periods. The key question is whether the economic growth stimulated by the project outweighs the cost of repayment. Beyond economics, the railway represents a strategic footprint for China in Africa. By building and financing large infrastructure, China exports not only physical materials, but also technical standards, engineering expertise, and long-term partnerships. The locomotives, signaling systems, and construction techniques used in Kenya align with Chinese railway models. This creates influence through integration. For China, projects like the SGR support its global supply chains. Chinese companies gain overseas contracts. Domestic industries produce steel, rolling stock, and engineering services for export. The Belt and Road Initiative ties these efforts together under a broader geopolitical vision. For Kenya, the partnership offered speed. The project moved from agreement to operation in less than 3 years for Phase 1. Few large railways anywhere achieve that timeline. Coordinated planning, centralized decision-making, and concentrated financing enabled rapid execution. The phrase "Africa's most advanced elevated railway" captures part of the picture. The line includes extensive elevated sections and modern control systems rarely seen at that scale in the region. It set a new benchmark for rail engineering standards in East Africa. But the deeper story is not about elevation alone. It is about connectivity. Railways historically shape trade patterns. They determine which cities grow, which regions industrialize, and which ports dominate. The SGR strengthens Mombasa's position as a regional hub and reinforces Nairobi's role as a commercial center. At the same time, the incomplete extension toward Uganda highlights the limits of unilateral development. Regional integration requires multiple governments, financing agreements, and synchronized planning. Without full network expansion, the railway's transformative potential remains partly unrealized. Even so, the visual impact of the SGR is undeniable. Elevated concrete pillars line the horizon in parts of the route. Trains move across wildlife corridors without stopping for terrain. Modern passenger coaches contrast sharply with the aging colonial-era trains that once defined Kenyan rail travel. The project sits at the intersection of development and geopolitics. It demonstrates how infrastructure can be both an economic tool and a strategic instrument. It reflects how emerging powers engage with African growth markets. It also raises questions about sovereignty, debt, and long-term sustainability. In the end, the railway's legacy will not be measured only in kilometers of track or tons of cargo. It will be measured in whether it anchors sustained economic growth and regional trade integration. Make sure you subscribe right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into the world's most powerful infrastructure stories.